Breece Hall is 100% that dude. This guy made me look like an absolute genius in my first video on this channel after he went out and finished as the RB2 overall last year, and I'm carrying so much excitement for him for the 2024 season. However, things are going to change in New York with Aaron Rodgers set to return from his Achilles injury, so what does that mean for Breece Hall and this offense as a whole? Today, we're going to be taking a look at Hall's fantasy outlook for the 2024 season and determining whether or not he's a good pick at his current ADP. Real quick before we get started, if you want a full fantasy football draft kit with 250 player rankings and notes, as well as full in-season support for your start-sit questions, team grades, and more, make sure to become a member of Fall Ball Fantasy for the low price of under $1 per month. Join by becoming a member of this channel using this button right here. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get back to the topic at hand. I can't help but start with the upside for this guy because his ceiling as a player is absolutely ridiculous. Let's look at what kind of a situation he's had over his 2 seasons in the NFL so far. He's played behind a bottom 3 offensive line in 2023 and 2022, has dealt with absolute scrubs like Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, and Trevor Siemian at quarterback, and has suffered injuries like a torn ACL and meniscus, as well as a hamstring and ankle injury. Despite all of that, he still put up over 1,500 yards last year and finished as the overall RB2 in fantasy football, only behind Christian McCaffrey. He had the most evaded tackles in the NFL last year and has been top 5 in the NFL in juke rate in each of the last 2 years. And last year, he proved that he's one of the best pass catching backs in the league, in addition to being elite as a pure rusher. To put it simply, this man's talent is absolutely elite, and that may even be putting it mildly. For the 2024 season, it looks like his situation is going to be improved drastically in a couple of different ways. Most notably, Aaron Rodgers should be 100% healthy heading into the season. Now, I shouldn't have to sit here and explain why that's important. I mean, we all saw how terrible Zach Wilson and the other Jets backups have been over the past couple of years. Rodgers might still be the MVP level quarterback that we all know him to be, but even if he's just above average or even average, he'll still be an insane upgrade over the stooges that have been quarterbacking in New York recently. This should lead to more overall scoring opportunities for this offense, and that's great news for Breece Hall, who has a lot of room to improve on his 9 overall touchdowns from last year. As I mentioned earlier, the Jets have had an awful offensive line over the past couple of seasons, but that unit improved so much in the 2024 offseason. For reference, they were arguably the league's worst offensive line in 2023, but for this season, they're actually ranked as the 5th best unit according to PFF prior to the season. Breece Hall's efficiency has already been really impressive, even behind bad offensive lines, so imagine what he'll be able to do behind an elite unit moving forward. Not to mention, the improvements of the passing attack with Aaron Rodgers should open up the passing game more, which will force opposing defenses to stack the box less, which should allow Breece Hall to have a career year in terms of efficiency. Beyond just situational improvements, he also checks the usual boxes for an elite running back. He's the clear bell cow back on this offense, with 4th-round rookie Braylon Allen being the next guy up on the depth chart, which means that Hall should once again get the bulk of the carries in the red zone and on the goal line. And beyond that, he's so good as a pass catcher. He had the 3rd best yards per route run and 4th best target share among running backs last year, and Aaron Rodgers has no problem force-feeding his running backs a lot of targets. Even if he doesn't lead all running backs in targets, receptions, and receiving yards like he did last year, he'll still certainly get enough work as a receiver to be elite in that aspect of fantasy. All right. I know I just gave a long speech about all of his upside for this year, but it is worth exploring the possible downside that Breece Hall carries heading into the 2024 season. The main case that could be made against him is that he could see a regression in his receiving work this year. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it is certainly a very real possibility. Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams should be able to get some things going in the air with Aaron Rodgers now at the helm for New York, so we could see those guys eat into Breece's target share a little bit. And if he doesn't improve on touchdowns at all in 2024, then a decrease in receiving work could sting a lot, especially in PPR leagues. It's also worth noting that he did suffer a devastating ACL tear in his rookie season, so maybe that adds a little bit of risk to his profile, but I feel like I'm grasping at straws here. That injury didn't stop him from finishing as the RB2 last season, and I see no reason to believe that it'll affect him very much when he's over 20 months removed from the injury. So if you haven't picked up on it by now, the upside for Breece Hall is so much higher than the possible downside. I'm pretty baffled with what his ADP is right now. He's going as the RB3 and usually taken around the 8th or 9th pick, which is a terrific value. I see no reason why he shouldn't be a top 5 pick at this point, and it's especially baffling to see him going behind Bijan Robinson on most platforms. Hall has already proven himself to be an elite talent, and we're still waiting to see that out of Bijan. They both carry similar amounts of risk with both of their respective quarterbacks coming off of Achilles tears. You can call me crazy if you want, but I think that Breece Hall is worthy of the 2nd overall pick in fantasy this year. I'm not saying that you have to take him there, but I believe in him as much or more than all of the players currently being taken in the top 5. I see no way that he's a bust outside of a major injury, and I think that his upside is league winning at the same level that Christian McCaffrey's is. Consider this a strong endorsement to take him at his current ADP. It's one of the best values in fantasy drafts right now, and a player with this level of talent could be the difference between winning a championship and missing the playoffs in your fantasy league. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new drop. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, goodbye.